Yes, we are talking safeties. A former Vic Fangio player still wanting to join the Philadelphia Eagles. Words from the other podcast that he was on, we're going to be talking about, are the Eagles still interested in signing a bridge safety? And we're going to be talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Had some couple messages, couple articles, couple things have kind of popped up on him from what he said the last few days. Really since being traded to the Houston Texans. So, a lot to talk about here, so let's get into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Today, this video is sponsored by BetUS, so go check them out if you guys have not. So, the first thing I want to talk about is a former Vic Fangio player that we've talked about before this past offseason. Now, this was like a month ago that Justin Simmons actually went on a podcast. Really, it was before free agency. He talked about joining the Philadelphia Eagles and just being there. And because of the connections that he has with Christian Parker and Vic Fangio when he was in Denver. But then he goes on, not only literally a day ago, he goes on Kay Adams' show and talks about, trying to sign with the Eagles at this point. I think the first destination he wants to go to is Philadelphia. Okay, he explained that he is not returning to the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, he is not returning there, and he is looking for a new team. And he talked about Philly with a lot of smiles. Okay, he talked about Vic Fangio, how he will be used, used by him on the field, and the success that he could put him in. Just remember, Justin Simmons is 31 years old. He will turn 32 this November. Okay, so you're getting an older player here, a bridge gap type player that could be here just for 1 year and kind of work for another contract somewhere else, most likely. Okay, now it's kind of crazy because most guys that want to sign to other teams don't normally know the roster or just say, oh, they're a good team, they have some good pieces, but they really don't get into specifics. And Justin Simmons was getting to a lot of specifics. He's like, oh, they got Reed Blankenship, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a great safety that left there. It's going to be big shoes to fill in Philadelphia. Like, he was really going to a lot of depth on this defense, and seems like he's been doing his homework around this defense. Okay. But with Atlanta last year, he was in a different scheme. He necessarily didn't play well last year. But under Vic Fangio and Christian Parker and how they've kind of worked him to be the player that he has become, he wouldn't mind coming to Philadelphia. Now, just to say this, a lot of these free agents that are around right now that haven't signed yet are kind of waiting till after the draft. A lot of the older type guys want to make sure they don't sign with the team before the draft and then lose their starting spot. They want to make sure they get a starting job after the draft, that there is still a safety or a position that's really needed, that they can go straight in there, get signed, and start playing and will be the starter. Okay. I've been more interested in drafting a safety. I think a lot of us Eagle fans have been more interested in that than getting a bridge type guy. But it seems like the Eagles had interest in bridge type guys because after Chauncey Gardner-Johnson left, they went after Justin Reed. And obviously Justin Reed went to a team with the New Orleans Saints that paid him more money. And Justin Reed did say that it came to a cap situation of why he didn't sign in Philadelphia, where he just played with KC and just lost in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. So he had a chance to get on a good team. It never happened. And then the news kind of went dead. We know the Eagles have talked to safeties at the combine, and this was before Chauncey was traded, so we were like, why are they talking to safeties? And then obviously that move happened. Eagle fans were pretty much like questioning why Howie did this. I mean, I kind of understand the situation. We'll get into more of that in this video. Julian Blackmon is still out there. What is he, 26, 27 years old, younger, and has a lot more football ahead of him. And, he hasn't signed with any team. I think he visited the Panthers, and they didn't get a contract coming out of there. So a lot of these guys will probably sign after the draft. But we have to keep this in motion, though, because if the Eagles do not sign a safety, okay, at least draft one the first round to the second day, then I have a feeling that they're going to sign somebody that's out there. And Justin Simmons could be a possibility, not the possibility I want. I don't want to sign any bridge guys at 31, 32 years old. I don't want to sign an old safety here for 1 year. Okay. I'd rather draft one, have him in the room for 4 years, 5th-year option, regardless if it's first, second, whatever, first, second round of the draft, whatever the case may be with that. But there are definitely a lot of different combinations the Eagles can make. Will they go down the route? Will they go down the route of signing a bridge safety, totally just ignoring the position in this draft, maybe signing another body mid-round or something, someone that they could produce the next few years? Or do they go all in on Malachi Starks? Do they go get Amin Wari? I mean, you know what I mean? They're bringing in some other guys that are mid-round type safeties right now on some of the local pro days. So the Eagles have interest in this position. And it's not like the Eagles never went after a guy after Chauncey left. They have interest in bridge safeties unless Justin Reed was the only guy. Okay. But Justin Simmons, of course the media is going to connect this to Vic Fangio and Christian Parker because they were together. And where Justin Simmons played most of his career and where Justin Simmons had probably his best years are with Vic Fangio and Christian Parker. So I guess this makes absolutely a lot of sense. But he went through a lot of depth with the Falcons and just was very different. Scheme was different, didn't really fit too well. And the possibility now, he's just waiting right now. And I know the Philadelphia Eagles are first on his list to go visit, to just play, the sign in Philadelphia for 1 year. Look, if it happens, it happens. I won't be upset about it. And if he does sign, he better play really well. With all those great pieces around him in that defense, he better play well. Okay, he could still play. It's not like he can't play. We just want to go younger. Okay, we just want. I mean, we were the third, youngest team in the league last year when the season ended. I mean, it's probably gonna get. We're probably going to be even younger this year. I think we all know that. So we've lost some players on this defensive side of the ball, some on offense as well. Older guys are gone. They're getting paid. They're going somewhere else. And you're going to have these free agents that are out here right now that are going to say, hey, sign me up. I'll get into a position and, we can work towards another Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that Justin Simmons sign would be a bad thing at all. I don't think it would be bad as ever. I think we're just so obsessed with getting young players, producing them, and I want to keep that ball rolling. But if this happens, and it's a possibility that this could happen. If you don't see a safety drafted within the first 2 rounds, I feel like a bridge safety will be signed, whether, like I said, Julian Blackmon or it's going to be Justin Simmons or something like that. Because the writing's been on the wall that they've been trying to sign another safety. They just couldn't sign Justin Reed. So we'll see what happens in the near future, what happens here. But I kind of ignored this news because Justin Simmons hasn't really talked at all, literally, since before free agency. He had that little podcast with these random guys on this podcast and said, hey, Philadelphia would be great. And then we didn't really hear anything after that. Now go on Kay Adams' show, and he's still talking about it. So we're going to find out more about this in the future, but it should be interesting. Now, talking about safety in general, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So I don't even know what's going on here. This is literally the last few days, really since Chauncey was traded. Now, there was a stream. He was doing like a video game stream. He was streaming something. It was GTA 5 or it was COD. I don't know what he was doing. But there were some fans talking to him in the chat, and he said, after the trade went down, he pretty much said, hey, like, the young guys got to get paid, man. I understand. Like, Q and these other DBs, they got younger guys playing at a high level. They got to get paid. They got to save money for the future. I completely get it. And then weeks later, and Chauncey said nothing else again. He said he had no bad blood with Howie Roseman. He said none of that. He said all of that. Like, there was no issues. Then he comes out a few days ago on his IG saying, quote unquote, people showed me their true colors when I got traded. That's why you haven't heard from me. C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the Eagles trading him to Houston. Okay. But I'm like, oh my God, is he talking about the fans? What's going on? But it has nothing to do with the fans. He went on and retweeted and said, my fans always been solid. Love Philly Nation for life. So I don't think like he left last time to go to Detroit, where the Eagles were at a standstill with him. Obviously Chauncey hiring a horrible agent and having bad negotiations with the Eagles a couple years ago. Him going to the Lions for that 1 year, missing almost the whole season, only, missed only making it the few games he only played because of injury. So I think that was very, very interesting. But it has nothing to do with the Eagle fans. So when he says certain quotes like, hey, people showed me their true colors when I got traded, I really hope he's not talking about anybody in the front office or anything like that. If there was look, when Chauncey re-signed back, he had his first press conference last year, and he said, hey, I want to stay in Philadelphia the rest of my career. And I totally believe he wants to stay here the rest of his career. Okay, I'm over Chauncey being traded. To me, it's not in question why they did it. I understand why they did it. Okay, when you draft players and you produce them and they're playing at a high level and you continue this process, if you want to turn this team into a dynasty, you have to let good players walk. You can't pay everybody. They win a championship. They have to move on. You have to save cap for younger guys. You have to keep this recycling process rolling each and every year. To be a dynasty, you can't keep everybody. It's almost impossible. We've talked about this a million times, and we have to trust this drafting process with Howie Roseman, which I think he's done a pretty good job. The only bad thing I can say that he's done so far is the Bryce Huff contract looks horrible. Other than that, I think he's been pretty good the last few years. And now you have, hopefully we can keep some coordinators in the building for a long time. And when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, we have nothing to worry about. Fangio will not go anywhere. He's already been a head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator in other places for a lot of years. And I think Philadelphia will be his last stop before he retires. How many years is he going to be here? I have no idea, but probably a few more years, most likely. Okay. So losing Chauncey saves you $6 million in 26. It saves you $13.8 million in 27. So you're getting some big chunks of cap space back. And because you have a lot of expiring contracts you got to deal with. And obviously at 27, 28 years old for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the Eagles didn't look at him like a future piece. And don't tell me that Howie Roseman didn't have this on it. You'd think like Howie Roseman just like thought we need to trade Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. No, this has been in the works for a long time. This was probably in the works since the middle of the season because, while we're watching the games and we're trying to win a Super Bowl and we're trying to do everything else, Howie has his scouts. He's going out and looking at players. There are other things going on for the next year off season while the remaining season is going on. Okay. So I don't know what this quote is towards. I mean, I don't know if it's anybody in the front office. I doubt if it's Howie Roseman, doing right by him. And like, look, all Chauncey really wants is, look, if I'm getting traded, put me in the spot where I could win. And obviously Houston is a rising team right now, but offensively, they need to get a little bit better and kind of get their shit straightened out. But defensively, I think, they'll add more and look promising. So we'll see what happens with him and Houston. And I don't think there's any bad blood, but I think everybody needs to understand if you want this team to turn to what it's going to be and you want this to be a repeating process every year, you have to make really tough decisions and you have to trust your drafting process. You have to trust the offseason program, these coordinators getting these players in the good positions to, getting to the right position to win football games. And, you just need a building process for that. So, a lot of contracts you got to pay in the future. And I think Chauncey understands that. And obviously Howie Roseman is thinking ahead of time, not just for 2025. And trust me, Howie Roseman is not taking a year off from not winning a Super Bowl because he got rid of a few players. Okay. Obviously there's a couple of little signings they could have done. Like obviously they could have done, Oren Burks, that was dirt cheap. I mean, Mekhi Becton was one that maybe they could have got done, but obviously I think the Bryce Huff contract kind of screwed a lot of things up, kind of didn't free up as much money. And they were, their hands were tied. So that was pretty much what was going on. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson connection to the move that happened, why it happened, how Chauncey kind of reacted to it the first time, and then going on social media and saying all of this. I don't know what this is towards, but maybe you guys know better than I do because I'm kind of confused a little bit. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We talked Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, his words, and we talked about obviously Justin Simmons. I mean, realistically, guys, would you be okay with Justin Simmons coming to the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, look, for a guy that fits under a coach that knows how to use him and great relationships with Christian Parker. I mean, I'm really not into it at all. You know, if they had no choice and, you know, this is the direction they want to go, because now they have to go to tight end. I mean, now tight end is becoming a big hole now. Dallas Goedert's getting traded. So I don't think you have any room. You know, you're either getting a DT, an edge rusher, or now you're probably getting a tight end. You know, Colston Loveland or someone drops. It wouldn't shock me if the Eagles go tight end first round now. It really wouldn't. You know, so after the draft, everyone's gonna say, "Wait a second, we don't have a safety. Why didn't they draft a safety?" Blah 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 blah. No one, you know, and the reason why is because one of these guys is gonna sign in Philadelphia, and probably gonna happen. So. Let me know what you guys see in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day, and make sure you like the video because it helps out tremendously. Let me know what you guys think on that safety spot and which direction you think they will go. And would you be okay if you had to accept the fact that a bridge safety comes to Philadelphia? You guys let me know in the comment section below. See you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow, slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.